Yeah, guys, welcome to the buzz. Apologies for earlier. I had to abort it. I had problems, Wi-Fi and StreamYard and everything was going wrong. So I've had to do this now. It's supposed to have been 6 o'clock, but obviously it's about 1:15 now. But apologies for being a bit late. And also there is the link here if anyone does want to come on. It's in live chat or watching now or whatever wants to come on. It's right there. And obviously I've got some comments here before I carry on. Ron's Team Talk, big up to you, buddy. Thanks for coming in here again. Go on, Steve. Please smash the like button for the Bees Legend and subscribe if you are new. Exactly. Do as this man says. He's got a great channel, great bloke, fantastic bloke. Go and check his channel out. I've done my fan terrace thing on there recently, recorded that with him about my, life as a Bees fan and everything, what happened through all that time. And it's really good, really interesting, great stuff. Go and check it out. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the history of the Bees very soon. Try to anyway. I keep saying it. I keep promising it. But it's going to be coming sometime, guys. And his next comment from Warren again. Very strong whiff of corruption from the England versus Ireland match. Ireland should have had at least 2 penalties, and that England penalty was as weak a penalty as you will see. Saying that, Warren, he did clip him. He did catch him, I'm afraid. At Scales, he did catch him. So, sorry, mate. I can't really agree with you there. I think it was a penalty. Not sure about the other penalties you were talking about, but for Ireland. But anyway, Bellingham is an overrated, arrogant prick. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think he's a very good player. He has got talent. I wouldn't say he's arrogant like some of them. There are others that are worse than him. So, to be quite honest with you, I'm not totally agreeing there either, but you're entitled to your opinions, my friend, and of course you are, so that's what you think. Then, thanks for the opinions anyway, the comments. So, and obviously this is the banner I've got here. England beat Greece away 3-0 and Republic of Ireland 5-0 at home, with 4 players getting their first England goals and England getting promoted back to Group A in UEFA Nations League. Time to discuss. Yep. Hopefully I should be having a guest on at some stage. He obviously hasn't turned up yet, but I don't know. He may be coming on, but he may be a little bit late. I will go into all this and obviously the ratings and stuff. But I've got this article here I will bring up first. Oh, he is here now, Manny. I'll just bring this up and then I'll bring him on. It's this thing I want to talk about first, and then we'll discuss all that. Right. Be up to you again, Mr. T. Apologies for earlier. I don't know what happened there. I had to abort it in the end. Bad Wi-Fi and everything.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, let me also start by sorry for being a little bit late.
No, it's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Just trying to have something to eat and get here on time. And, it was a little bit bizarre. We're here, we reconvene, and we go again. No issues.
Yeah, true. I don't know, it's just all the Wi-Fi and StreamYard playing up earlier, so I had to abort it and totally get rid of it, basically, delete it all and everything. It just didn't come out right at all. So, but anyway, I've got this article here. I'm going to go into, which is England are going up, winners and losers, as Lee Carsley leads 3 Lions to Nations League promotion and sets Thomas Tuchel era up for World Cup success. Well, let's hope. A Euro 2024 hangover. Sorry, mate.
Typical hyperbole from the media. Tuchel hasn't even, occupied his hot seat. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And some are saying now, well, really, did they already have the right man in Lee Carsley? Is he actually the right man rather than Tuchel? Have they rushed into getting Tuchel now and not giving this guy a chance to have all these games, play all the games, and see what he's about, whether he could do it? Yeah, we know he's not been great under the spotlight and the media. With talking and stuff like that, and he doesn't sing the national anthem, and I still don't think that's an issue. But at the end of the day, he's starting to get the results, and he's getting the team together. We're playing better under him than we were under Southgate. Let's be honest. It can't, there's not much else we could have done to be as bad under Southgate as we are now. I mean, I think he's starting to get a better team together. Yeah, okay. Hold on, apologies. I've got to sort this phone out. Sorry.
Well, better to have a phone call than some food delivery. And I'm probably going to address some of these issues that Steve's raised. It's funny how you've mentioned, and now you're back. It's funny how you mentioned that Carsley wasn't exactly comfortable while dealing with the media. And that is, of course, never a good look, because when you are a manager, you need to make sure that you are able to deal with the media come hell or high water, in sickness and in health, till, the end of your contract, do you part, and what have you. And one of the things for which I can always credit Sven-Göran Eriksson, Lord rest his soul, was that he never shied away from speaking media, and seldom, if ever, gave an impression that he was, cheesed off with the way we were dealing with things. And he had reasons, of course, to be quite angry with the media. But when you start to bristle with the media and show that you are not really comfortable, then that is a bit of a red flag. And I suppose in many ways, in hindsight, there was this idea that Carsley never really wanted to have the top job and was a lot more comfortable coaching the youngsters. And when he made that statement, hopefully he'd go back to the under-21 soon, that was no Freudian slip. I think he pretty much, dropped the ball, pun intended. So, look, Carsley found that he has some ability, but maybe he's being honest and saying, the job has come a little bit too soon. Unlike Southgate, who wanted to,
Well, you're gone there, Manny. I don't know. You still there? Sound's gone a bit. Anyway, while we're waiting to see if he comes back or what's happened, I'll carry on with this. A Euro 2024 hangover was avoided by the beaten finalists as they ripped off a run of 5 wins from 6 games to restore their feel-good factor. The die-hard fans of the England men's national team, with their brass band and Wembley paper aeroplanes, will hardly be telling their grandkids about the great UEFA Nations League B Group 2 promotion of 2024. But this was an important period in the Three Lions' history nonetheless. The immediate post-Gareth Southgate era could have quite easily turned sour in the absence of the man who united the nation and revolutionised the national team setup. There was a world where England simply unravelled at the seams and failed to kick on as so many had hoped. Yet Lee Carsley managed to steady the ship, despite the odd rocking of the boat and persistent questions over the existential point of his interim spell. Taking 15 points from a possible 18 to top the group ahead of Greece, Finland and Ireland was the minimum requirement, and he cleared the bar of expectation with relative ease. Yeah, winner, Lee Carsley. It was rather telling how quickly England's players, both the established stars and those of the future, moved to thank Carsley and his staff for their contributions during the closing months of 2024. In fact, some even alluded to the interim boss raising spirits around St George's Park after the turbulent ending to Southgate's tenure. Jude Bellingham wrote on Instagram, "Huge thanks to Lee and his staff for their work in these last few camps. Got my smile back in an England shirt, very grateful." Meanwhile, Jack Grealish similarly said, "What a guy, a manager, absolute legend, and thank you for bringing back the enjoyment in an England shirt." The public demanded England played with more freedom and expressed that three lines be freed from the shackles of football conservatism and unleashed as an attacking force upon international football. Some of Carsley's methods were flawed, notably his gung-ho selection in October's 2-1 defeat at home to Greece, but for the most part he satisfied the demands of supporters. The FA had been keen to promote a coaching pathway in a bid to replicate the success of Southgate, and Carsley has proven across 3 months and 6 matches that he should be a bona fide candidate for the permanent job in future. If Tuchel's reign amounts to nothing or even crashes and burns, Carsley will be the first person turned to. Loser, Lee Carsley. But it's for those reasons that Carsley is also a victim of this whole saga. If the FA were not planning on bringing in a permanent boss until January, and he was always going to get these 3 camps in charge, could they have not waited until the end of 2024 to come to a decision, which is what I'm pretty much saying? What was the need of rushing an appointment in October if the successful candidate wasn't going to start immediately? Yeah. Did they fear Manchester United would swoop? Yeah, that's another thing, would swoop in to steal their top target, even though the Old Trafford hierarchy spurned Tuchel back in the summer. Unless England go all the way at the 2026 World Cup, these are the questions that will hang over the FA and Tuchel's premiership. This decision made what seemed a proactive and savvy move look rather amateurish. The shine coming off a statement signing in the name of diplomacy. Then there's the continued uncertainty over the FA's paradoxical and conflicting commitment to promoting English coaching. Sure, Carsley has strengthened his credentials for future vacancies, but if the job was still up for grabs, he would have had more time to build a compelling case for the gig. It appears the FA's minds were already made up, however, and their wishy-washy claim of interviewing at least 10 coaches prior to Tuchel signing the contract was widely disputed, bringing in a needless scepticism on their business and thinking. Carsley is the victim of that muddy process, and the FA are fortunate he is a man who has handled himself with integrity throughout his time in the Wembley dugout, who didn't stir the pot any further and toed the party line as they pleaded. Perhaps a more careerist manager would have made for other louder noises from behind the 3 lines podium. And we'll get into the other ones in a little while, but I'll see if Manny is back, what he thinks of that, what he makes of that.
Yeah, I am back. For some reason, disconnected, so you probably couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, can hear you now, definitely. Did you want to finish off what you were saying there before you go on with this?
Yeah,
Did you want to finish what you
well, I think the best part about you reading that particular article was that it was sort of, going along the means of what I was trying to say, really. And I was talking about how Carsley was, not exactly comfortable dealing with the media, and that is a red flag in and of itself. And when he did say that he hoped he would go back to the under-21s, that was no Freudian slip. He dropped the ball quite literally. And, this particular article now seems to be almost a perfunctory hit job on Tuchel, really. Basically, it's talking about how Carsley, conducted himself well, has remained humble and so forth, and has had the magnanimity to not make a big issue of the way he was supposedly treated by the FA. But the FA have found a way to shoot themselves in the foot, and the ECB have done that, of course, with a cricket connection. Why is it always, these boards of control for sport which find a way to stick their big feet to their even bigger mouths? Look, Carsley also did the job he was meant to do, and certainly showed, apart from that, Wembley debacle against Greece, that he does have the ability. But a sample size of 3 teams, Finland and the Republic of Ireland and Greece, is not exactly going to be, a really good enough body of work. Maybe that could be used as a reference if he were to apply for the top job later on. But for this particular article to insinuate that Carsley should be brought back into consideration if Tuchel crashes and burns, which hopefully he doesn't, I think that's rather, presumptuous in many ways. And when you have pieces like this, I think it's just bad journalism in many ways. I get what they were trying to do by painting Lee as both a winner and a loser here, but this type of journalism is really not called for. And we have to be honest and say that although Carsley did a good job, did bring some youth in, and certainly did try to, shake everything up as best he could, he also showed that he had some limitations. Had we 6 games, there probably would have been a clamour for him to be given the job permanently. But for the FA to have done what they did, to have effectively undermined him, was bang out of order. And I was very interested to hear what Grealish said, where he spoke about how Carsley brought back the enjoyment. Let's also not forget that Jackie was dropped by Southgate for the Euros, should never have been dropped. And it's of no coincidence that Grealish would say all of that. I suppose you could call it passive-aggressive, but given that the former manager was the same idiot who had the nerve to compare Sven-Göran Eriksson to Ian Duncan Smith when apparently they needed someone like a Winston Churchill, I think it's effectively a case of, karma coming back to bite you on the backside. But look, I do hope that Carsley gets a senior job elsewhere. I hope he won't stay pigeonholed with the youth. I hope he tries to, really prove himself the way Steve Cooper has tried to do. Let's not forget, Cooper was, of course, the manager of the that won the World Cup when it was held over here in India. And since then, of course, he's managed at club level, most notably in Forest and now at Leicester City. Hasn't exactly, pulled up trees, but he's done a decent job, and he's still serving an apprenticeship in some respects. I'd like to see Carsley really prove himself, and then maybe, 5 or 6 years down the line, or even longer, he can be reconsidered. But enough about Carsley. I think we've got a lot more things to talk about. So go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just going back to some of those points they made there about.
And I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Going back to that, they could have, waited. As I said earlier, they could have waited to make this decision. Given the rest of these games. Yeah, obviously his media work under the media, into the media spotlight was not great. He was interviewing and things wasn't great. What he was saying, he didn't handle it particularly well. But there we go. I still think he was getting the team together. We were playing some good stuff. He's integrated all these new players well. Obviously, a lot of them he had at the under-21 level. The likes of Angel Gomez and obviously Solanke, Madueke, Gibbs White, probably Curtis Jones. Most of these he's had at under-21 level, and he knew what they were about. He knew about these players, what they could do, and he's integrating them with into all these that are these players that are still there, that are still have been there through various campaigns, many campaigns over the years. Likes of Kyle Walker, of course, Pickford, Harry Kane, Obviously, Maguire wasn't there, but he's been there a lot. Played through the regime under, obviously, Southgate and so forth. And obviously, other players there. Stones, of course, he wasn't there either in these games. So, there's plenty of players there that have sort of like been played under Southgate. But, he sort of integrated his own players that he knew in with them as well. And I think it was working. I think he got the right balance there, the right blend in the end. He sport it with a Greece thing, but he just wanted to experiment a bit. And maybe there was the case of him possibly knowing that Tuchel was coming in, that he thought he might just try something. And it blew up in his face. But you could say it was probably better to do it in this sort of thing than rather than in a qualifier, sort of a Euros or World Cup qualifier. Well, it could have been worse. We could have, not qualified for anything. So, in a way, it maybe was best that he did experiment when he did. It told us a bit, whether it would work or not, and it obviously didn't. But he was starting to get everything right. It was falling into place. So why did they rush it? There was a lot of that. He might have possibly maybe going to Man United, Tuchel. And the FA thought, well, no, we don't want that happening. We want him to go. I want him to be the England manager. So, let's get in. Let's strike while the iron's hot. And get him in. And stop United doing that. But then again, it might have worked out for United now. Now they're getting Amorim instead. So, in a way, that might be a good thing for them. Who knows? I just wonder why they just didn't let him have all this time, all these games, and then came to the decision. And then also saying about all these other managers, 10 odd managers or whatever it was that they were interviewing or more. I think was it 10 or was it 18? Trying to remember now. What did it say on there? I think it may have been 10. Just going back to it. Sorry, guys. Just going back to what was said. 10 coaches. Yeah, that was it. It was 10 coaches. I thought so. So they were supposed to have interviewed all them. I didn't talk to anyone like Eddie Howe or anyone like that. Who would have been another ideal candidate for it, possibly Eddie Howe. So there you go. But I'll bring Manny back and we'll quickly hear what he says about that. And then I'm going to carry on with this article, of course. So did you hear about that, Manny, what I was just saying there, mate?
Yeah, I did. I did, Steve. And, obviously there are going to be some questions asked as to why Carsley couldn't have stayed, because he was starting to, work quite well with the youth. I just think that maybe the FA probably had an idea in mind that Carsley wasn't going to take the job on a permanent basis. Now, one of the reasons why I was at the time excited about the prospect of Carsley working with us was because, it would possibly have been a sort of a Luis de la Fuente like situation where, he obviously did a lot of work with teams in Spain and then ended up senior team with the similar results we've seen. One of the reasons why I think it's the thing wouldn't have worked with Carsley because with England, we don't seem to have a proper footballing identity. With Spain, the way it's, the way it's done, it's that they obviously know exactly the foot they want to play, and a single coach over there is sort of coached along that line, works along that line. And an interesting reply from Kevin, who says Tuchel is a brilliant opponent and should get us line and win a tournament. That is the hope, mate. That is the hope. And, I'd like to
So
think that
Ireland being dreadful.
I realise
Yeah.
that this isn't much of a consolation, but Ireland are much better now under Hal Grimson than they ever were under Stephen Kenny. And
Yeah.
Kenny was absolutely dreadful, and he never should have been given the job at Mick McCarthy's expense.
Mm.
I just think that with Carsley, it just showed that it was never going to be a fairy tale-like appointment that many people would have wanted, because it probably, Carsley probably would have ended up swimming against the tide more than anything else. He was doing some good work with the youngsters, but that was probably expected of him, given that he's worked with most of those charges when he was the under-21 coach. And, he started something. I'd like to think that Tuchel will continue in that vein. And we are going to see more of the next generation coming to the fore. And, of course, let's not forget the likes of Kobe Mainoo, who will definitely want to re-establish himself and really put himself back in the manager's thoughts. There are some people whose futures will, of course, be very uncertain, but that can only be a good thing with all these youngsters coming in. And, Warren's team talk with a very, very scathing insinuation there that there was some corruption in the England-Ireland match. And, of course, it was, bizarre how they just capitulated following that penalty. But I didn't see the first half. I remember coming back home in time for the second. But maybe there is something to that. We'll have to see. We'll have to see later. But I
didn't see these penalties.
We're going to find out how well Tuchel will continue in that vein. And certainly these youngsters will be the future of the England team going forward.
Yeah. What do you make of this one? Bellingham is an overrated, arrogant prick. Not so sure about that, however. Warren's been a bit strong here, a bit extreme with his comments today. It's made Manny go as well. As I said earlier, I'm not so sure about that, about Bellingham as well as overrated, arrogant prick. There's been more than others that are worse than that over the years, as we all know. So, I don't think you should say that about him, but that is your opinion, mate. We'll hear Manny's opinion when he comes back, but don't forget the guy is still really young as well, and he's, he might take it, he might see things as being, light-hearted and, not so serious to start with. As he gets older, he might wise up a bit more with it all. It's for him at the moment. He's still very young, and he's living this life, football life. It's just like a playground for him at the moment. So it's still, we all get a bit wiser as we get older, and some of the things he may have come out with or said or done, are misconstrued. And that's the way he obviously is. Yeah, you do sometimes need a little bit of arrogance or a little bit of, genius or whatever you like to call it. If you're going to be a really good player, you need a bit of an ego sort of thing. And, you need something obviously to back it up. And he has got that. He can back it up, obviously. I think Cole Palmer's pretty much the same. He's similar to that. He talks himself up a lot, but he has got it to back it. He's got the talent, he's got the skill to back it. So, you shouldn't knock these sort of players. They feel that they can do it, and they're Maddison's another one. He thinks he's really great, and sometimes he don't prove that he's got the major ability, that he's one of the best players around. He bigs himself up, he talks himself up. The talk's a good game, but doesn't always do it. But I think most of the time Bellingham has proved he can do it, and he done it in the Euros and stuff to get us through there most games. With incredible goals, his overhead kick, of course, what was it, injury time? I think it was against Serbia. Was it Serbia or was it Slovakia? I don't know. It was one of those games. I think it was Serbia to get us through. And, I think with that overhead kick, incredible goal we got. So, maybe you could think that in someone's demeanour, the way he is, but he's a talented player, Bellingham. No doubt about it. He's got ability. He's got talent. Sometimes they say things and do things, these players, that make them, hated. But they're just trying to big themselves up. They got this ego. They got this, thing about them. Likes of Ronaldo and people like that, Messi, that they know what they've got. They know they've got ability. So, they're promoting themselves most of the time. So, what you got a comment about all this, opinion about all this, Manny, about Bellingham?
Yeah, obviously Bellingham didn't conduct himself too well during the Euros, but there's still a lot more to come from him, and I think he just needs to continue to prove himself and continue to enjoy doing well. And eventually the results are going to come. But another thing as well is that he does need to be, humbled at times and told in no uncertain terms that he won't be treated like a sacred cow. And that is one thing. Most of our managers over the years have had their favorites who pick no matter what. And, we need to sort of move away from that and start to be a little bit more impartial and also ruthless in our selection. There's a time to be ruthless and a time to be to support your players. There were occasions when Southgate didn't always get the balance right. Hopefully, Tuchel won't make that mistake.
No, well, I was just saying that really actually about Carsley. He was starting to get the balance and blend right here. And, whether maybe they could have just waited and seen what he was going to produce in his last few games and stuff, But at the end of the day, let's hope Tuchel can pick this up and run with it, really. I hope so. Or do even better. Obviously he'll have in his mind what he wants. The players he wants, the system he wants, the tactics, the formation, what he needs. I'm sure he'll have that in mind. And we'll obviously go into that a bit later, who we think he'll pick, who he's going to stick with or bring in. But we'll obviously go into that a bit more, a bit later on. But obviously I just want to read the rest of this, really, and, talk about this a bit more. And obviously it's got here the winners, England's next generation. Carsley's lasting impact coming away from the autumn internationals is how wide the England player pool now is, and the empowerment young talent should feel about their future chances of featuring for the Three Lions. His experience and winning record as under-21s boss gave him the credit in the bank needed to get away with some audacious squad selections, with even the most eyebrow-raising picks paying dividends. From the off, Carsley was determined to showcase the overlooked youth he had nurtured. From Nottingham Forest playmaker Morgan Gibbs-White to out-of-contract Lille midfielder Angel Gomez. From new Liverpool star Curtis Jones to genuine left-back option Lewis Hall. The door has been left ajar for top-flight youngsters to make the jump from the under-21s to the senior team. Southgate came under fire for, rightly or wrongly, sticking to a rigid core and not acting quickly enough to blood emerging players into his setup. Should Tuchel decide that a squad shake-up is needed, there is clearly enough quality about the country for him to enact. Loser, Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer and Phil Foden. Well, this is really a story in two parts. There aren't any concerns over Bukayo Saka and Cole Palmer's respective performances when donning the white of England. More so how the two can coexist. It was a conundrum that had hoped to have been solved during this Nations League campaign. Alas, a mixture of injury and fitness concerns, plus Carsley's aforementioned Greece experiment, which saw Palmer play as a deep-line midfielder for whatever reason, means that this is still an issue on Tuchel's in-tray. That's a luxury problem to have, but Phil Foden's waning influence for the three lines is of real bother. Southgate never seemed to know how to get the best out of him, and nor did Carsley. During his disappointing Euros, Foden was urged by pundits to force his way out of the slump himself. But these struggles have only followed him from international to club level with Manchester City, where he's only continuing to flounder and flop. Foden's Euros form saw calls for Anthony Gordon to start in his place and bring a runner into a front line which largely favoured having the ball to feet. The Newcastle winger was one of several new-gen England attackers who excelled under Carsley's tutelage and has credit in the bank moving forward, while Foden is now facing an uphill battle to be a key part of the team's future plans. Well, what do you make of that, Manny?
Things can change in the blink of an eye, Mr. Jenkins. That's the way it is in football, especially international football. And I'm one of a number of people who will always have a great deal of sympathy for Bukayo Saka and how he has literally been managed. A wonderful comment there from Kev. Joby Bellingham, I think, is his name. That's right. A lot more to come from him as he's only 18. Yeah, completely agree. We could potentially see both Bellingham brothers playing for England. A little bit like Gary and Philip Neville and a few others. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that would be good.
But and that's this is always going to be a wonderful thing in ways with the emergence of the youngsters and some of these hitherto established stars now struggling a little bit. Now, that particular Greece game was a game where effectively the creative talents of Palmer and Foden were wasted in that ridiculous formation. And, you know, one of the first things that Tuchel is going to have to do is really make sure he runs the rule on the players he has at his disposal and decides what the best formation should be. I really do hope that we're not going to see any of this ridiculous nonsense of inverted fullbacks, which means that if Rico Lewis continues to play for England, he will be considered as a future right-back option. And that isn't too far-fetched, especially when you consider that there are always going to be doubts about whether TAA is in his best position. Walker may not have very long left in the tank, have much left in the tank. Kieran Trippier is already retired. We don't even know if Tuchel's former Chelsea charge, Reece James, will be fit enough. So Rico Lewis should have a future at right back. And at left back, Lewis Hall, Tariq Mitchell. But in addition, will Tuchel be willing to look towards Italy and consider recalling the likes of Tammy Abraham and Fikayo Tomori and some of the other people playing there in possible? Because if they're good enough to be playing in that sort of a league for the teams for which they're playing, they should be good enough to be considered for England. And Southgate's refusal to consider them was arrogance in many ways. We do have a great pool of talent. The only problem is we just don't seem to have a manager who is willing to really give everyone a chance, who's really willing to cast his net wide to try and bring them in. And I think it's fair to say that the days of us recruiting the likes of Owen Hargreaves from Canada by way of Germany to play for England are now pretty much long gone. And Hargreaves was a quality player for England, just too injury prone. So there is a lot to look forward to. And it's interesting that Kyle Walker has been picked as a loser. I think you might want to read that, Steve, and I think you'll be quite vindicated.
Yeah.
Well, the sooner you read that, the better. I think your mic is on mute right now.
Yeah. I'm coming. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I will read this. Get that out of the way. News of Kyle Walker. The England old guard aren't quite in the rear-view mirror just yet. Though they could do with leaving Kyle Walker maligned by off-field drama and the effects of father time by the wayside regardless. Now 34, he's nowhere near the player he once was, and his performances are massively declining. In his pomp, Walker was unquestionably one of the world's best defenders. But he couldn't shake questions over what would happen if he wasn't one of the quickest players in the game. With his pace no longer an advantage and thousands of miles on his body clock, we now have a belated answer. He is a liability who needs withdrawing for everyone's good. Carsley, ever the innovator, across his 6-game spell, did sniff out Walker's growing deficiencies at right back and utilised him in a central role for Sunday's 5-0 thrashing of Ireland. Though even though there he looked off the pace and off the boil. The growing promise of Trent Alexander-Arnold as an actual defender, thank you, Arnie Slot, and Tuchel's pre-existing relationship with Reece James should spell the end of Walker's England career. And that's before you can get to the fact younger players like Tino Livramento are making their own case to start. Okay, Manny. What do you make of that one?
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And when we have a Manchester City fan who also makes it clear Kyle Walker's finished, I think that pretty much is case closed, really.
Yeah, that was AK, wasn't it? Yeah. He was saying that. And totally agree, 100% with him. But, you know, unfortunately, that is the case. And we now have to go to others. We obviously got Reece James coming back. Then there are others coming through. As we know, Livramento is one of them. I thought he was pretty good the other day. I actually thought he played really well. I always rated him anyway at Newcastle and everything. And I think it was at Southampton he was at before. So I thought he was really good, and I still do. And obviously, he played a major part for the under-21s as well. So, yeah, we have got talent there. We have got other right backs coming through. And I think it's still more the left backs we got the problem with, Manny, to be quite honest with you.
Exactly. Lewis Hall, Tariq Mitchell, these are the names that should be considered. And no more Luke Shaw.
No. And he's just never fit anyway, is he? Let's be honest. So it's no good having him there. I think Lewis Hall's made a good case for himself in that position as well. I really do think he was looking really good. I think he's done all right at Newcastle. And was it Newcastle he's with, or was it Chelsea now? Is it Chelsea? Or is it I can't try.
Yeah, he's back. I think he's still with Newcastle on loan, though. I'm not too sure. Or has he gone back? I think
he might have been Chelsea. I think he played for Chelsea the other day. I think he might have played for Chelsea the other day. I think he is there. So, so I think he's definitely one we got there. We need it. We need another left back, and as you say, Tariq Mitchell could be another answer as well. So let's just see. I mean, we got a lot of games to come now under Tuchel. See what he does, really. Obviously, speaking of Tuchel, got him there.
Hall is with Newcastle now. He was at Chelsea. Now he's with Newcastle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Managing England was always going to be a dream job for the anglicised Tuchel, regardless of the state he found the team in. But there's no doubt he would have liked what he's seen over the autumn. The Three Lions needed a confidence boost to rediscover themselves, and they got just that. There are selection headaches to be contended with, but none more so than any elite club. England has some of the sport's best players and now one of the best coaches who will feel confident about his chances of success in the hot seat. Tuchel will now walk into St George's Park with fresh momentum again and without the added pressure of having to clear any metaphorical dark clouds lingering over the nation. It's full steam ahead for the World Cup and global glory. And that's it, really. I thought that was a pretty good article there.
Global glory. Yeah.
Yep. So really, it looks like he's got a lot there to be happy about and be positive about. I think Tuchel coming into this. I was saying, why didn't he take it straight away? Why is he coming in January or whatever it is? I think it's January, isn't it? Yeah. Why not now? Why, go on a holiday or whatever and get straight into it? So, can you make a case for that, Manny? Why he didn't take it straight away?
I think the ideal scenario. I think when you're talking about the Nations League campaign, the ideal scenario obviously was for Carsley to finish what he was starting, and the disruption during that campaign probably wouldn't have helped necessarily. Now, of course, England have the desired results. They don't have to play again until January anyway, so there's a lot of time to rest and reflect, and for Tuchel to prepare everything. And yeah, listen, I think Carsley deserves a chance to just finish what he started more than anything else. So he was certainly hung out to dry by the FA, but I'm at least glad that Carsley got to complete the Nations League assignment, and he can be quite satisfied. If only he hadn't have, gone kamikaze against Greece. I think that was really stupid. It was a Greek tragedy, but we turned it around in Athens and made it a comedy, and that's.
Yeah, definitely. Got another comment there from Kev. Don't understand people being angry at appointing a non-English manager for England. Get the best person for the job. Simple as that. Totally agree. 100%. Totally agree with that. Yeah, you're getting the best man for the job. But, then again, it still could have been Carsley. It still could have been Carsley. The way it went at the end there. But they went for Tuchel. They took. I think it's not really a gamble in the end. I think Tuchel would be the ideal candidate. But what he's done, he knows the English game. He played. He's managed here a few teams. Obviously Chelsea, of course. So he knows the game. He knows all about us. So that's probably is the ideal thing, and he can speak English. Unlike our older managers, likes of the Italian, and I think Ericsson did speak English, so I think he was fine. But
Ericsson was obviously very fluent in English. Hello was a disaster. Didn't like him at all.
No, that was the problem. But yeah, I think he's good enough. Tuchel. He knows our game. He knows our players. I'm sure he knows what he can do with our team and how to mix them, how to get the right, in the right areas, the right players in the right areas, and combine all these great players, because there is a massive pool of talent, as it's already been said, in the England game, in the Premier. But not only that, there are some down lower leagues as well, Championship, whatever, And a lot of the Irish players come from there, or the Welsh players, or even Scotland. They pick some from lower leagues, didn't they? So, is there anything wrong with that? You're still finding the talent. So, I think England tend to just go for Premier players, and that might be the wrong thing, maybe. I don't know, but we have got enough talent there.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly, and I've said that if we've got some English players playing in some of the better overseas leagues, we've got to reconsider them. No doubt about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but going back to this, I think we were obviously going through this earlier on, Manny, when it all went peaked on here. So we were trying to go through these obviously the verdicts, the ratings and stuff of these players, and I think we were obviously saying Pickford was right with 8 out of 10. This is against Greece, of course. Kyle Walker, as we're saying now, well, should he even be playing? Really? I mean, he got 7 there. I thought he done okay some of the time, but he had to be, as you say, that went to centre back and used his pace. But I think his pace is going. I really do. He's just not the same player. And Ezri Konsa, as we said, was right. He's good player. Unfortunately, I think he got injured, some sort of injury, and obviously went back to Villa. Not sure why exactly, but he was injured. But Mark Gahey, I think, was superb again, immense. And we said that was right, an 8 for him. Rico Lewis, I'm still not sure about. You said, well, maybe he could be the answer there for the time being or something, but I'm not totally sure. He got 7. Conor Gallagher, I thought, was also good and probably better against the Irish, though. I don't know what you think about that, Manny. Would you say he was better against Ireland than Greece? Gallagher?
Yeah, a lot better. And not because he scored the goal. I thought he looked a lot better, obviously. Might be harsh to say he's found his level, but at least he's showing some signs of being willing to adapt a lot better. He was subject to a great deal of criticism near the end of Southgate's tenure. I think Carsley has helped him rediscover some of that belief. And you got to think that someone like Grealish can also continue to harbor England aspirations, because as well as Anthony Gordon has done, Grealish does offer something different.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, another positive is Curtis Jones. I think he's been amazing. He really has, especially in that Greek game. Okay, might be a little bit more quiet against Ireland, but he definitely deserved that 9 there against Greece. I think he was incredible, amazing in that game. And that flick goal, that incredible, improvised flick, whatever you call it, was amazing and deserved the 9. And I think he'd get even better. I see him at Liverpool and I see what a very good player he is, when he come through with that Harvey Elliott as well as another one. I thought it'd be really good. I don't know what's happened to Harvey Elliott at the moment, whether he's injured or what, I don't know. But he's obviously not playing a lot. But yeah, Curtis Jones for me is a real positive and probably one we should be keeping in the team. I mean, obviously we will go through all that in a little while. Who's going to stay in the team and whatever, but
exactly.
Be up to you, Rich.
Look at the players we have that aren't playing. See, there's so much quality there.
Yeah, be up to Rich there, United TV. The games were just too easy for England. You could say that. I don't think the Greece one at home wasn't. But then, he did experiment a lot, as we know. And they also had motivation about George Baldock passing away, which helped stir them even more. But I still think they were the best of a bad group. Greece, I really do. I don't say they were too weak. They were really weak. We beat them easily there at their ground, 3-0. But I thought they gave us a lot of problems when we played at home. And they looked a better team there as well. So, what was the Greece score? Well, it's 3-0 England. I think he's on about this one, 3-0 England. And then, obviously, they beat us at home, of course, 2-1. Unless he's on about what happened last night. with Greece. They beat Finland, didn't they? I think was it 2-0? They beat Finland, something like that.
2-0.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, they won, and we only just about. I think we had the same points, didn't we? But we went through on the goal difference or something, I believe. Yeah, top. But yeah.
No, but also don't forget head-to-head record.
Oh, the head-to-heads, yeah. I think also going back to this, I think Noni Medwaker is another positive as well. I think he's been amazing, and it's a real headache now on that right hand side. You got Bukayo Saka, sorry. You got Cole Palmer. You got Phil Foden. You got him. I mean, the thing is, Foden he has been disappointing. We got to say that. And in that other article, it said about him, he was terrible. He was poor in that Euros, I thought. But they're saying, it's because Southgate didn't get the best out of him, and they thought, he should have got out the slump himself. But then again, if you're not being used properly, I don't know. Was that part of it, or did he just play really badly? He just didn't. He had a really poor tournament. What would you say, mate?
Could be a bit of both. Yeah, it could be a bit of both. And I think I was saying not too long ago that the best managers have to find a way to make sure they get the best out of the talent at their disposal. And that means being able to look and see for yourself and judge for yourself what position would be best for them, and play them there accordingly and see how well they can do. And that means, of course, that you can't play Foden in the 10, you can't play Palmer in the 10, because they just don't seem to be able to thrive over there. You definitely can't use Jude Bellingham as a double midfield pivot. It doesn't work that way. You've got to identify their qualities and play them in the right positions. And, Foden obviously didn't do himself too many favours in the Euros, but Southgate also wasn't exactly helping him out. And I think it was that tactical I made us realise that Southgate was never going to be the answer. He had to leave. And as grateful as we are for 2 Euro finals, he's had the backing, he's had the support, and he still couldn't get us over the line. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. It sure does, man. It sure does, fella. But, yeah, getting back to this anyway, and, Madueke for me, a real positive. And it's really going to push the other players, Saka and all that, on that right back. He's got somebody, behind him now, pushing him, isn't he? For that right, the right ring or whatever you called it, spot. So he's got somebody pushing him now, breathing down his neck, hasn't he? So you can't say for sure, Saka's definitely going to play. Because Madueke's looking hot and looking great. So, could you say on the form right now, Madueke should keep his place, surely, the way he's been doing?
Yeah, true. But again, we're going to need to see how well he does at Chelsea. And for all of his, injury doubts, Saka more often than not does produce at Arsenal. The only problem is a lot of people will say Saka often makes one contribution, one big contribution, and then goes missing. A little bit like a certain Graham Chapman from Monty Python, Lord rest his soul.
Yeah. Yeah, true. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty
the man who
boy.
Came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was smart enough because of lemon curry, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's true. So I'll just go back to the
half as bad as.
Yeah. But no one was expecting the Spanish Inquisition anyway. But anyway, yeah, so I think Bellingham was, I thought he was great as well in that game. Got an 8 there, as we obviously talked about earlier about him, that goal coming off the goalie's back or leg or whatever it was, and going in. It should be his goal, I feel, still, not the goalie. I'm sure the goalie didn't want it, and you said, well, that's the way it is, and that's the unfortunate thing.
Yep, exactly.
And it's given to him. It's not given to him. And the goalie has to have the OG against his name. But yeah. But anyway, Bellingham was great. Anthony Gordon, I think he's still looking good. He's looking flash, if you will. But yeah, maybe he should carry on. I would say. Of course, Ollie Watkins started this one. I thought he was good again. Some of the time he didn't do quite well with the ball, but other times he was pushing them. He was getting in behind. He's got more pace. He's got a little bit more about him than Harry Kane in a way. He gets behind and got more pace, as we know, because Harry isn't blessed with pace, unfortunately. But as you see what he done in that Ireland game, he was brilliant with some of them passes. That pass he done for Bellingham in the Ireland game was incredible. And of course, for the penalty, what a pass that was, into the area. But yeah, I think Ollie offers a lot as well. I really do. And he scored again, of course. Can't argue with his goal scoring for England at the moment. Ollie Watkins, whenever he plays, he nearly always scores. Famously in the Euros, of course, as we know.
Yeah. Yeah, he finds a way. And I remember saying, of course, at club level, Ollie was getting a little bit off the boil. I didn't think he should start ahead of Dominic Solanke, who was scoring a bit more regularly of late. But shows how much I know, eh?
Yeah, but speaking of Solanke, do you think he's getting the rough end of the deal at the moment? That not playing, that he could have started one or two of these games, surely, couldn't he? And he's gone. Yeah. I think definitely. I think maybe Solanke should have more of a chance for England. I really do. I mean, he's scoring well. He's doing well at Spurs now. Okay, he started slowly there, but he is getting some goals now. And you know how many he got. I think it was 19 goals last season. So amazing. For Bournemouth, of course. I'm surprised he's not getting. He's getting a raw deal here. I was surprised he's not starting as many. And he came on again, of course, against the Irish. He did have a chance there to score, but we'll obviously go talk about him more when we get to the Ireland game. I think here as well, Lewis Hall was great coming on. He settled into that role straight away. Left back, I thought he was amazing there. He gave him a 7 there. That's probably about right, but I thought he was really good coming on for his debut, really assured. He must have been a little bit nervous. But he looked like he'd been playing there all his life almost when he came on. I thought he looked incredible, very composed. Would you agree with that, Mr. T, about Lewis Hall? Looked very composed, looked like he'd been playing there all his life when he came on.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, a great debut for him. And Morgan Rogers, of course, yeah. We were always banging the drum for him, weren't we? So, to play. I think lucky. I mean, it was about obviously others dropping out that he finally got his chance. But I think he's a class player. He's very, very talented. I really do. And against Ireland, he looked great when he came on as well. So, He's definitely one for the future, I think, if not now. Morgan Rogers, really. He shows what he can do. He's shown what he can do at Villa. So we know he's got the ability, the talent. So, yeah, Morgan Gibbs, right. I still rate him. I rate him a lot at Forest. I think he's a very good player. I really do. I think he was another one probably instrumental for the under-21s when Carsley was there. I think he played him a lot there as well. I think he's going to be another good one for the future. He's obviously not started many games for England, but, eventually I think he will. I think there's more to come from him. And, of course, Bowen came on there. He looked great super smashing, as we would say. The only thing was didn't hit the bullseye until against Ireland, of course. Hit the bullseye there. But yeah, I thought he'd done all right, done pretty well. And Harry Kane, of course. So, but yeah, and we'll move on to the Ireland game, of course. We'll look at the player ratings there. And of course, Pickford again. Of course, he didn't have as much to do in this one. They didn't manage a shot until it was 4-0, it says there. Ireland, that tells you it all. They only got 6. So yeah, he still had a decent game. Livramento, I thought was really good. Nervy initially, it says there, but grew into his debut and had key role in the second goal. So, would you agree with that, Manny? A 7 for him?
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, very good young player. And obviously Kyle Walker again. Well, could have given away a penalty when Sammy Schmodik's done. Oh, that's probably what Warren was on about, one of them. And I actually saw that, and I don't think he didn't touch him. I didn't see him touch him at all. So, maybe you could say he dived, Schmodik's, I'm afraid to say. Otherwise, untroubled before going off. Yeah. 6, probably a bit too much, but would say a 5 myself, probably. He's definitely, going off the boil. He's not the player he was and deteriorating a bit. So I wouldn't keep him myself there, but obviously we move on. We go to Gay here. Of course, he was good as well again. I think he's a starter here, always a starter, always one of the names on the sheet. All the time now. Lewis Hall again, of course. Yeah, unflustered on his first start, definitely. Showed adventure in attack, deserves more chances under Thomas Tuchel. Yeah. Of course, he got 7 there as well. Conor Gallagher, who we've already mentioned, I thought it was really great in this game. And he scored, of course. It was 4 players scored their first goal for England. So he was one of them. And obviously Curtis Jones again was a little bit quieter in this one. But he still looked really good at times, some really good stuff on the ball. Noni Medwaki, of course, was really good again, although not as great as he was against Greece. They gave him a 6 here. Would you agree with most of these scores, Manny? Would you say they're about right? Most of these?
Yeah, most of them. And I'd probably go so far as to say the 6 was, I'd say fair for Walker. Again, I'll give him a 5.5, but rounded up to a 6. But clearly, his best days are behind him. But as far as the rest of the starters are concerned, no issues at all. And then Lewis Hall, we have someone who could be a future left back. Tyreek Mitchell from Crystal Palace. I'm going to continue to, keep his name being mentioned. And, that should be the way the future's going now. And I think Tuchel's also going to have a really long conversation with some players who probably won't be a part of his future plans going forward. But we'll see what happens.
Do you agree with Bellingham, man of the match there? Would you agree with that?
I suppose. No issues with that.
There was nobody that was really more outstanding than him, above him, really. No, probably not. Yeah, as I say, Harry Kane. I mean, you know, we forget how bad the first half was. Actually, when you go back to this, it was a snooze fest. Really, the first half, wasn't it? It was pretty poor. I mean, nobody would have seen this and predicted a 5-0, would they? Looking at that first half, so it was pretty boring. But you know, it certainly kicked into life in the second half. Okay, the sending off helped, as we know. Warren seemed to think it was weak. It wasn't a penalty, and he did catch him. He did kick him. We could see that, and it was definitely a penalty. I'm sorry, Warren, but sorry, buddy, you're wrong there for a change, my friend. Sorry, but you know
exactly. I think you could say that decision sort of tipped the scales in our favour.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that was a definite penalty, and yeah, I think Kane's that great pass he done for Bellingham there was amazing. I suppose you can't totally write him off, Kane. I mean, you know, he's saying he's going to be there for a long time, quite a while longer. But I still think it's up to the manager to decide if he's doing enough. If he's still scoring, which he is, you know, he's still scoring in Germany. So, and he scored a great penalty here. I thought he took the penalty really well, really coolly. You know, I think it's been when he's been in the really major tournaments when he's, you know, messed it up. As we know, that one that he launched into the moon or something, one of them penalties, wasn't it? But he doesn't seem to do it in pressurised situations. I guess that's the problem sometimes. But I still think he's one of our best goal scorers in a way. You know, he's been one of our best. So you can't argue with that. He's got plenty of goals, and he has got us into semis or quarters or semis or whatever, finals at times. So you know, you got to say that he has been reliable most of the time. So I just wonder. I don't think he was fit in that Euros. I really don't think he was fit. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, the thing about Harry Kane is that he's such a, you know, totemic sort of player that whether it's for club or country, you often feel as though he has to start. And that was one of the issues with Pochettino, really, and probably why they were destined not to win the Champions League in that final against Liverpool. You can't start a player who isn't quite fit. And we've seen that, of course, with Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka withdrawing. Declan Rice in particular, what Arteta did with him was just malpractice, I have to say. And they all say that they will continue, but there will come a time, of course, when if he's not quite able to continue to produce the goods and England still can't win, that maybe he'll feel a little bit drained. Bear in mind that he's playing in Germany right now, so the travel also has to be some sort of a factor. You can't deny that. And, you know, Kane also probably will have earned his right to decide when to stop playing for England, but you know, maybe circumstances again will also dictate that maybe it'll be better if he does retire. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we're going to that in a little while. But also, I was going to say about what do you make of Harwood Bellis when he came on as well? The future son-in-law of Roy Keane. Good for him, eh? Oh, crikey. Son-in-law Roy Keane, he better behave himself.
Exactly, endear himself to his future. Oh, you bet. And, he didn't exactly endear himself to his future father-in-law by scoring that goal, let me tell you. But, he's another player, obviously, who has done well for struggling. Yeah, he's done well for a struggling Southampton team this season. And, it's good that he's also been given his chance to try and, make the most of the opportunity he's got. And certainly took it very well. 4 debutant goal scorers, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Gallagher, yeah. Yeah, all of them scored, didn't they? Yeah. So
I can't believe, for how long Gallagher's played for England, I'm shocked that he scored his first goal against Ireland. I still can't register with that. But Hartwood Bellis looked good. I think one person who probably would look back and say that he's been hard done by is Dominic Solanke. I think he never really was given too much of a chance. He wasn't given enough minutes to really impress. He deserved to have a goal against Ireland.
Yeah, many sounds gone or something's gone there again. Anyway, we're moving. Yeah, of course with Solanke, I feel sorry for the guy. He did come on though and he scored. I just feel he's got to have more chances. He's got to be given more chances. And the thing is, if they carry on with Kane, where does that leave him? And it's only like Watkins that's behind Kane. And will Solanke figure in the plans as well? I mean, obviously Tuchel's got to look at him.
I'd like to think that Solanke will still have a place in the manager's, whatever it may be. But obviously, it's not going to be easy. He will have to continue to bide his time. Another person who also could perhaps be considered is someone like Danny Welbeck. And we were talking, however, about how Welbeck depends a great deal on a good midfield supply. There's going to be there'll be a lot of possible player permutation on, and it will be interesting to see what goes on once Tuchel is the manager. Very interesting indeed. And currently watching the Davis Cup final between Spain and the Netherlands. Alcaraz about to win the first set against his Dutch opponent, but Spain are 1-0 down with Rafa Nadal having lost his match.
Oh, right.
And Alcaraz takes the first 7-0 break.
Oh, so Nadal's still playing then? I thought he's probably retiring after. I don't know when he's going to retire. He said it might be next year or something. I don't know. Actually bowing out.
This is the Davis Cup final, so it will be Nadal's last match.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, well, that's a shame. What a player. Fantastic player. Over the years, amazing. But let's see if he goes out on a high, I suppose, in the Davis Cup. So, his quality was brilliant. Brilliant player. But now we go back to this, Manny, and we're going to go through who we want to see, who he's going to keep, and who we're going to scrap, who we say goodbye to, and who will have a future for England. And obviously, we're starting with the Goldies, and really, it's only Pickford at the moment we know that's going to play. Because, out of them other Goldies, he hasn't really given much of a chance. I mean, Nick Pope's had a little go. Henderson, I guess. I'd like to see more James Trafford. I think he was a pretty decent keeper. James Trafford. In the team, I think, was it Burnley? Was it Burnley or Sheffield United he was at? And they were struggling a lot. I think it's Burnley.
It was Burnley.
and they struggled, but he was brilliant most of the time in them games, keeping the score down, you know, if anything. I thought he was amazing. I'd like to see more of him.
The thing about Trafford is that he is obviously a good shot stopper, but he still has a lot to learn about really being able to dominate a back four. And you know, obviously Carsley used him a great deal as his goalkeeper for the under-20s, but making the step up to you know, senior team football is definitely not going to be very easy. And yeah, Nations League on. I've got Wales against Iceland right now, and if Wales need to try to win tonight to give themselves a chance of getting promoted. At the moment, Turkey are ahead of them, and it'll remain to be seen when Montenegro take on Turkey what's going to happen. But Turkey should be expected to deal easily enough. But yeah, Pickford is interesting. I think this upcoming World Cup, should England qualify, will probably be his last major tournament.
Right.
So there will be chances for.
Sorry, go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, so there will be chances for the likes of Henderson and Pope, and perhaps to some extent Ramsdale and Trafford to try to stake claims afterwards. But with Ramsdale, I think we're seeing with Southampton that he's not really able to do quite well, and he's fractured his finger. He's going to need some surgery. So Alex McCarthy, capped by England, will end up playing instead of him. And if McCarthy impresses, I think he might end up staying as the #1 goalkeeper. Who's to say that he might not be considered? Maybe not, because if you're not going to pick Jackie Butland of Rangers, why would you pick Alex McCarthy of Southampton? But Henderson and Pope will probably be considered for the future. Ramsdale has to really start improving himself. And yeah, so Pickford pretty much has nailed it, but he doesn't really have that much in terms of competition, you see.
Yeah, but say when he does finish, who would you be your preference for that, Pope? Or he's got work on his kicking, isn't he? His kicking's not good, is it? He's very weak. He's kicking, you know, playing that is the problem.
Exactly. Something that he can improve if he's willing to really work with it. I mean, you know, you take a look at someone like Emi Martinez, who was never known for being very solid with his kicking necessarily, but he's improved his kicking and his distribution and has become a perfect sweeper keeper. Still not the type that Arteta would want in his team, but hasn't stopped him from becoming the best all-round goalkeeper in the world. I think Nick Pope should work on his kicking, and he is going to have some sessions with with his goalkeeping coach, or maybe one or two others, to try to work with that. Another goalkeeper, of course, who's come back into international favour is Craig Gordon. We all thought his international career with Scotland would be over when he was dropped from the Euro squad. But due to some bizarre circumstances, he's returned to the Scotland team and has conceded 3 goals in 4 games as Scotland have been saved from relegation. Still a magnificent shot stopper, soon to be 42 this December. But his kicking, not necessarily the best, if you know what I mean. But that is, he can still cope, and I'm sure Pope will also find a way to cope. So Nick Pope as a shot stopper, certainly better than Dean Henderson, who also seems to have a mistake in him at club level. But having said that, Pope hasn't exactly been consistent either. So going forward, I think Nick Pope probably has the best chance, even though Henderson has been the beneficiary of more football.
Yeah.
With Crystal Palace, of course. You see the teams at the Principality Stadium walking out right now. Wales and Iceland.
Yeah, I'll say Pope as well. I'm going to go with Pope. And myself, the next cab off the rank, really. So really, for me, Pope. Maybe keep Henderson there, maybe Trafford. as a number 2. I like to see Trafford given a chance a bit more. But yeah, I think Pickford won't be around too much more longer. Maybe 2 or 3 more years, maybe. I don't know. Couple more. But yeah, it's got
I
to
think
go.
he'll retire after the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think he'll retire after the World Cup. And anthem time, so I'm just going to mute my mic right now.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, we move to the defenders here, guys, and I think TAA will probably be in the manager's plans for the future. Whether it be a defender or midfield, I'm not sure. I think he's obviously still good enough. He's got a great range of passing. I've never really thought he was that great a defender at times for Liverpool. As right back, I don't think he's really safe enough, really good enough there. I would say if he continues to be more midfield. So I'm undecided with him exactly. But he has proved what he can do. He's got a great range of passing. So I would keep him around. I would keep him there. He's one he's got to keep. Walker, no. Sorry, I think he's got to go. Kyle Walker. Not for me anymore. He's just, he's lost that pace, a lot of that pace, and I don't think he's quite up to it anymore. I think he'd be going out of leaving City at some stage, whether that's through retirement or moving elsewhere. I don't know. I'm sure he won't last that much longer at City either. It's just not got it anymore, I'm afraid. Rico Lewis, still not sure about him. It's 50-50 for me. I'd like to see him more at City and do things there. Not quite sure. I mean, I don't think he's let England down as such, but I'm not totally sure on him. So maybe, possibly for me. Ezri Konsa, I definitely would have him there. For me, he stays there in the squad or the team. He's got to stay. I think he's good enough. I always did at Brentford, and he still looks great at times for Villa. I still think he's good enough. So for me, yeah, a definite for England. Konsa still. Stones, no, I'm sorry. I know people won't understand why I don't like this guy, but he's still not good enough. He still makes mistakes, no matter what you say about him, whatever people think of him, what he's done with City or whatever. He has still had the mistakes in him, and I just don't get it with him sometimes. You see him and mostly what he does is pass it sideways or backwards. No, not for me. I'm sorry, Stones. No. But that's me. That's my opinion. Others will want him to stay there for England. For me, no. Or Maguire. I mean, I'd say that. I don't think he probably has let England down that much, Maguire. But I just don't know whether you can keep him for England, Maguire. He hasn't really let us down. I know that, but I'm not sure. I'm just going through these defenders, Manny.
Well, Maguire hasn't. Yeah. I was just saying, Maguire hasn't really let England down, but there does come a point when we have to sort of move beyond him. And I think it's fair to say, of course, that the likes of Gay, and others are proving to be just that little bit more dynamic, really. And, it's harsh, but that is the reality of selection. And I do apologize for having to mute my mic, but there is absolutely nothing like a rendition of My Enfi Nadal at the Stadium. You don't even need any instruments. You just start. Everyone sings in, and they join in with perfect pitch. It is absolutely magnificent. And that's why I had to mute my mic. You can't not hear that. And that's the
Yeah,
thing of the Nations League, especially when it comes to the home nations. You hear the passion when they sing the anthems. Scotland, Wales,
Scotland,
even to some
Wales,
extent Northern Ireland. Maybe
Ireland.
not so much, it's a sight to behold. And of course, your backup goalkeeper, Valdimarsson, I think
Oh yeah,
he is starting again for Iceland, and you'll
yeah.
certainly be very interested to see how well he does.
Yeah, he plays for them more than he plays for us. Let's put it that way. But yeah. But getting back to this, I started with TAA, and I said I think he might still be in the future plans. I think whether it's midfield or I don't think he's a defender though, Manny. I really don't. I don't think he is that great at right back. So I think you'd have to have him in midfield, surely.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily like Trent as a right back any more than you do. In fact, someone like a Joe Gomez would do a really good job as a right back. Someone who probably may not possess some TAA's attacking instincts, but who certainly is a much better defender, and he can overlap as well. Right back is his best position, but Trent being there means that Gomez has to bide his time. If Trent does end up going to Real Madrid as a replacement for Danny Carvajal, then maybe Joe will get some opportunities at Liverpool. You just don't know. We'll have to see going forward. But Joe Gomez has reason to be hard done by. And let's not forget, Gomez was also in the Euros squad. As far as Trent is concerned, I think Slot seems to have him playing a little bit better. And a very nervy moment there for Danny Ward in the Wales goal. A bit too comfortable, really, but Iceland obviously having nothing to lose. Wales hoping for a win. But I think Trent certainly will be a big part of the future.
You ain't got it commentating in Welsh, have you? Because that's what I generally have when I watch it, bloody commentating in Welsh. You haven't got that, have you?
No, mate. It's English. It's in English, but it's muted now. So, obviously, Wales still playing about at the back. But as far as Trent is concerned, I think he will be a part of the future plans. And Slot does seem to have him playing a lot better defensively at Liverpool. So it will remain to be seen if he continues to do that for England. Now, it could very well be that he ends up, once again being used as an auxiliary midfielder, but I wouldn't have him playing necessarily in the double pivot. I do like him as a wing back if we decide to play a back five, but that's pretty much as far as it goes. And again, if he does go to Real Madrid, how they use him there will certainly be very interesting indeed.
Exactly. But, I mean, we got to also consider Reece James now as well, coming back for right back there. So, if he can keep himself fit, surely he's an ideal candidate for that, right back, Reece James. And he's gone again. But anyway, for me, definitely Ben Walker, Ben Stones. Maybe keep Lewis. I think maybe as a utility, if anything. Ben Maguire, Ben Stones, as I said. Keep Gahey, definitely. He's always a starter now for me. In a centre back there, definitely. Livramento, I think, is definitely one for the future, if not now. Got more to come. Still only 22. I think he's got a lot about him. Branthwaite, I definitely want to see. I feel for England more. Jared Branthwaite, I think he's definitely good enough for England. Jared Branthwaite. You could be seeing a Gahey Branthwaite or Gahey Konza centre back partnership. So I've already been through the ones I'm going to bin, Manny, which is obviously Stones. I know you probably don't agree with that. Maguire. Who else did I say? Walker, of course. Ones I'm binning.
Yep, Walker.
That are probably for the future that I think will come good and I'm saying Lewis will stay there. I think he's still got something about him, whether it's as a left back or what. But he's a utility player, obviously, so he could play anywhere maybe. I think him, Livramento, for me, definitely has got a lot about him. Gay, he's always a starter. He's going to be there. Konza, Branthwaite, I'm saying about now, I think he's definitely one to play for England. I don't know when he is. I know he pulled out again. I think he was injured or something. He pulled out again. But I think he's going to be a real future for England, Branthwaite. I really rate this guy at Everton, you know. Carl Will, I'm still undecided about. I'm not sure about Carl Will. I see him at Chelsea.
Yeah, he's not taken.
Dodgy.
He has Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not taken most of his opportunities, and that's the problem there. And a chance for Iceland early on, and Johannesson forcing a corner there. Routine save, really, from Danny Ward. Yeah, Branthwaite definitely should be one for the future. Colville, probably, you know, will. I think he's a bit of a question mark.
What Kwanzaa? Oh, Carl Will. Yeah.
Not quite about Colville.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know about Kwanzaa. I haven't seen enough of him. I know he looks good at Liverpool when I've seen him play. He needs to play more for England, really.
I think Kwanzaa will really have to bide his time and make sure he starts playing a lot more consistently, because he's got a big job on his hands trying to dislodge Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahim Konate from that defence. And whenever he has played, he is talented, but he has shown a great deal of inexperience as well. And obviously, Liverpool fans will remember a pretty poor error he made in the Cup quarter-final against Manchester United that allowed United to end up stealing a win there and pretty much be the first blow against Klopp's attempt to try to win the quadruple. So Kwanzaa, one for the future, but not the present. No. But as far as Konsa is concerned, I do like very tidy. And if he can just stay injury-free and not be injured too often, he could also have a part to play.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would barely. So I think he only came on against Ireland and didn't have that much to do, and he scored, of course. You know, you've got to see these players against bigger teams, haven't you? You've got to see it tested, against bigger teams, buddy, you know? And,
absolutely.
Bring them into a pressure game, a big game. See, I think we'll see.
Goal for Iceland.
A goal.
Yeah, Iceland scored, and Wales are 1-0 down. You got to feel for Danny Ward. Made an excellent save, but there was another shot at goal. I think it went straight through legs.
Who got the goal, Manny? An Iceland player.
Yeah, an Icelandic player. Number 22. A certain Eidur Johnson used to wear that number for Iceland back in the day.
Oh, what a player he was.
Well, the left. And I think they might be checking. No offside there. Great save from Danny Ward, but you cannot leave that gap between your legs, mate.
Oh,
seriously. Reminds me of that little whip. Before he might end up telling again with his hand there. But that's the thing with Danny. He makes some really good saves, but also some basic errors. And I'm sure he'll be telling Craig Bellamy, sorry about that, Gaffer. I should have kept my legs together. And the Gaffer would say, not you, Don. Your mum should have kept her legs together.
Oh, nice one.
Mind you.
That's a good one.
That was actually an old cricketing sledge featuring Fred Truman and Raman Subbarao. But I've used that in this context too. Yeah.
I always remember
So
both
back
of them. He couldn't quite get his leg over. I always remember that one. But yeah, that was a
yeah,
good one.
both they good was involved in some good sledges too. But yeah, so I was saying that Ezri, he could just not be injured too often. He'd also definitely have a part to play for England. I do like the look of him. But we can agree on some of the defenders who have to be binned. I think, Stones and Maguire, they're no longer on fire. And as far as Walker is concerned, he's no longer a runner. He's still definitely a walker now. And I just wonder, when you bin those 3 players, you should still have a very good crop of defenders. Trent is, of course, going to be interested to see what his future role will be. Colwill could also be a bit of a doubt. And there are still several other defenders who should be considered and who are also on the fringes. So, it's there is a big talent pool. Tuchel just has to be willing to use them.
Yeah. Well, they say he's not afraid to make the big decisions, the big calls, leave the big players out, and so forth, or drop them. So that we'll see. Well, now he's under the FA, the English FA, and will they let him do that? Is the thing. That's what we want to know. Can they let him, manage the way he likes to manage, or will he be controlled?
Well, they've got to. If they start poking their nose into these matters, then it's not going to end well. Manager has to be given full reign. No questions asked.
Definitely, I agree, fella. I agree. And getting onto the midfield, well, Conor Gallagher, I think, probably cemented his place. Would you say in the England team squad at least, squad or team?
Probably much cemented his place necessarily, Steve, but he's done his chances a world of good. Definitely no harm, and I think it's fair to say again that he's also benefiting from much more, sensitive management in Carsley and soon to be Thomas Tuchel. I think Gareth Southgate was never really going to be that tactical manager who would really think about the best for his players. But, Gallagher certainly played a lot more football. He's certainly looked a lot better. So, he stays for now, definitely. And it will be interesting to see if he plays. He's used as not just a defensive pivot, but also someone more attacking. I think maybe for now, being a defensive pivot would be where his best position is. And with him, Mainu, Declan Rice, and maybe 1 or 2 others into the equation, you could have some really good competition in that midfield area.
Yeah, so, and you talk about him, your man there, Declan Rice from Arsenal. Have you been impressed with him for England, Manny? Or not?
Oh, mate. I wouldn't say impressed, but, Arteta's done him no favours by insisting on playing him with a broken toe. That's malpractice, I've told you. And, he is also someone who had the ability when he started to really take the game by the scruff of the neck, but now he hasn't really been able to, get things done. And that is something, of course, that, he'll have to try to work on.
Yeah, so you would keep him for England there, wouldn't you? You would keep him in the squad at least, or would you play him a lot? Or?
Yeah, I'll keep him in. I'll keep him in because obviously when it comes to options for playing in the centre of midfield or the double pivot, we don't have Henderson, we don't have Calvin Phillips, so Rice pretty much will have to stay. And he and Gallagher, you've got that wonderful Irish combination, although Gallagher's actually Scots-Irish through his ancestry. And of course,
Yeah.
don't forget Kobe Mainoo has to come back into the picture as well. So yeah, I'd keep Rice definitely, but he has a lot of work to do.
Definitely Gibbs White. I think he's definitely one for the future here as well. I do rate this guy. I really do. At Forest, I think he's
Yeah,
another one. How do you fit them all in? Is the problem though? Is the real issue
exactly.
really?
And you look at someone like Gibbs White, who also did quite well with Wolves before moving to Forest. Um, he also is another player who hasn't been given as many minutes as he would have liked under this managerial regime. So I think he's obviously going to have to feel as though he is needed, but he also needs minutes, and if he can get them, then well and good.
Yeah, and Angel Gomez as well. Apart from looking like a little kid when he comes on, he looks like like a little school kid or something. But he looks incredible. I think he's done some good stuff, and he obviously Carsley obviously likes him. He rates him. Obviously done a lot for the under-21, so he feels he's good enough. Do you think he'll still get a lot of games under Tuchel though, or
I
Tuchel
hope he
playing?
will. I hope he will. And sadly, what was apparent was that in these last two games, he didn't get anywhere near enough minutes that he would need. And he did get
Yeah,
plenty of minutes in the earlier rounds, but these last two games would have been a great opportunity for him to, show how good he could still be. And I don't think he got the opportunities he deserved, which is and more's the pity, really. But I mean, he. You say he's a bit like a school kid as a child. We've got that expression, of course, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, a little
yeah.
angel, as it were. And you just hope that one get his wings.
Yeah, they might have to drink some Red Bull, I suppose. But yeah,
Yeah. Once again, people, Red Bull is not recommended for people who are under 18. We try to be responsible.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Angel Gomez looks like he's under 18, but yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think he's definitely one. If Tuchel gives him a go, I really does stay with him, stick with him. I hope he does, as you say. I think he's definitely one as well for the future. And definitely, well, Foden. Well, what can we do with Foden? How do you solve a problem like Phil Foden? That seems to be what it's about at the moment. What will
Yep.
Tuchel do to get the best out of him?
Well, I just hope it's not going to be a case of so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night for
Yeah,
Phil, because he's definitely one of our brightest talents. But Tuchel will have to find a way to use him. And it's quite simple, really. Where he plays for Manchester City is where he should be playing for England. The only problem is we seem to have a surfeit of players in that position. But of course, with Saka getting injured far too often for people's liking, you just feel as though there will be more opportunities. I seriously do not think Foden can play in the 10. I really don't think he feels comfortable there. Out on the wing is where he belongs, whether on the right or you like an old-fashioned left winger who can whip in that cross. But he still has to be considered a part of the future plans. But how Tuchel uses him will determine whether or not he continues to play for England. And I remember only too well under Ericsson, we had a situation where Paul Scholes retired from England duty. In my opinion, at least 2 to 4 years too early, but it enabled Lampard and Gerrard to play for as long as they did, and Scholes ended up having a very long Indian summer with Manchester United, and even after he, retired, he was brought back for another spell by Fergie. Go figure. So
yeah.
Foden has to be used intelligently, otherwise we run the risk of losing him for England.
Well, and yeah, I still think he'll be in that England squad. He'll be around there. I do, but he has got talent. We know that. But anyway, getting Bellingham, it's going to be there for a long time to come. I can't see anyone else getting in ahead of him. Could you, Bellingham?
Nope, not in the position certainly where he likes to play, and that is in the 10. And I think obviously as long as he continues to do well for Real Madrid, he has to continue to play for England. If he's good enough for that club, you can't simply ignore his talent. And Tuchel also has to, use him very well. Tuchel actually will have come up against the likes of Bellingham while managing Bayern Munich, and he will have seen quite a few of the players as well that he will have under his disposal, I'd like to think. So, yep, Bellingham safe, definitely. And as our dear friend Mr. Flavin said, wouldn't it be wonderful if Joby were to join Jude in playing for England alongside his brother?
Yeah, it would be brilliant. Two Bellinghams. Crikey. It'd be hard to deal with one of them, wouldn't it? Let alone two. Crikey. But Lewis Hall is a definite for me as well. I think what I've seen of him, Lewis Hall, definitely. He's got to be considered, surely.
Yep. Him definitely, and we also need to bring Tyreek Mitchell into the equation for sure. A little bit, of course, like back in the day, of course, with England, when it came to left backs, we were blessed with the likes of Kenny Sansom, who played for England for as long as he did, and when he was phased out, Stuart Pearce came in. We had Graham Lasso, who was Lasso, I would say, and then of course Cole came in. One player who never got the England recognition that he deserved was Nigel Winterburn, but when you've got Sansom and Pearce and company well ahead in the pecking order, you hardly will get any chances. So after Cole retired, we seldom had a really good quality left back. I thought Luke Shaw definitely showed some promise as someone who could overlap. We had Ashley Young, who was an inverted left back at the World Cup, and Danny Rose, of course, was his backup, who would also come on. And Roy Hodgson even saw it fit to drop Ashley Cole for the Brazil World Cup and pick Leighton Baines to be our left back there. The less said about that, the better. But
what are you doing, boy?
Yeah.
Silly boy. Yeah. Definitely. But I don't know. That was strange. But anyway, but getting back to this, definitely Lewis Hall for me. And I think Curtis Jones has shown what he's about. I love this bloke. He's amazing. He's great goal, that flick. He got that goal and against Greece, and I thought he was brilliant in that game against Greece. Not quite as much against Ireland, but I thought he still looked great. The touches he had there, I still thought he was brilliant. So for me, he's got to stay. But how you're going to get him in there is another thing. But yeah, I think he's definitely got to stay. Grealish.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grealish definitely has to have a future because as well as Anthony Gordon has done, Grealish offers you something different. And, if Grealish can also just get back fit and playing well, he's always going to be an asset for England. And we all, love Grealish a great deal, especially after Southgate cruelly, ended his chances of playing in the Euros. Grealish always had a point to prove, and he, of course, against Ireland at Dublin, not very well received. I think both Rice and Grealish scored that day, so that was not a very good day. But, Grealish has to be involved. He and Gordon will compete with one another very well for that left wing position.
I agree. Mainu is definitely. Do you think he's done enough, Mainu?
Maine's been unfortunate. Maine's been very unfortunate, obviously, with a combination of injuries, and I don't think he's been able to get back into the United team. But going forward, I think he definitely has to, be a part of England's plans. He can't not be after that Euro 2024 little sojourn there. I thought he was really good then.
Yeah, he was. He was brilliant. And definitely Palmer, ice cold Palmer. It's just how are we going to get all these players in, my friend? How are we going to do it? I just ain't got a clue. Because he's no a quality player, Palmer, isn't he? And you can't really leave him out either. You just can't.
You can't. You can't. But then that's going to be the real crux of it. The issue of competition for places. Have that level of competition, it can only be a good thing. And we got an Iceland substitution. One of the players, I think the number 9 has come off. I think he's limping a little bit. Probably ended up coming out second best in the challenge. And the number 23 is coming on in his place. And because I'm sitting so far away from the telly, I can't tell you their names. But Iceland's still going well, 1-0. And Wales have it all to do.
When I finish this stream, I'll try and watch it, even if it is in Welsh again. I'll watch it, but I'll watch the second half at least. So, yeah, but Madueke
I don't know if I spoke to you about this, Steve, but with a surname of Jenkins, I always thought that you would have had some Welsh ancestry.
Oh, I have. I have got so many, yeah. But I think they've all passed away. Those are mainly in Glamorgan. A lot of them were. So, sort of uncles and that and whatever, aunties. But, yeah, a lot of them passed away, really. So, don't really have any now.
Very sorry to hear that. And sorry for asking that question.
But yeah, we used to go there, Glamorgan. We used to go there quite a bit to see them. So, but yeah, not nice bit of Wales, Glamorgan, very nice area. Yeah, but anyway, getting back to this, definitely Palmer. I would say keep Mainu as well, and Madueke. I mean, a lot of these will just be probably stand-ins for others, I think, to come in. If others go out injured, I think these are the replacements ready-made, unfortunately, because you've got to rely, sadly, on Saka getting hurt, getting injured, for maybe to Madueke to really have a long run. Although I think he's done loads and he's been brilliant, Madueke. I think, he would be in the head of Saka for me at the moment, in a way. But what do you say? Would you say Madueke's in the head of Starboy at the moment, or would you still say Starboy will just have enough over him to keep playing, and Madueke's a replacement?
I think look, in terms of the overall skill set and what he offers, Starboy is marginally better. But with Starboy currently being injured at the moment, you have to think that Madueke, his chances are world of good. And again, that competition can only be a good thing. And let's also not forget, you've got Cole Palmer and Phil Foden, who play well in those right-wing positions for their clubs and score buckets of goals. So again, there is competition, and we will have to see, of course, which players Tuchel will use and which formation he prefers to use, and how he'll get the best out of everyone. I think he used the 3-4-3 during his time at Chelsea, so we'll see what happens. It could very well be that he decides to use Trent as more of a right wing back with 3 centre backs. And 2 obviously central midfielders, a left wing back, that could be Lewis Hall, and then your front 3. So he has options, does Tuchel. And as far as Madueke is concerned, I think he's doing his cause a great deal of good. But I think Saka just offers a little bit more, which is why he will be expected to start more frequently for England, and that's what normally happens.
Yeah, but I mean, as he was at Chelsea, he would know about Madueke, so he might favour Madueke a bit more, would you say? Probably the bias towards him and want to play him a bit more?
I'm going to look that up right now because, listen, obviously Tuchel knows about Reece James. I don't know necessarily if he's worked with Madueke. Here is his name. Chukwu Nonso Tristan Madueke. Nonso. And yeah, because Madueke joined Chelsea from 2023, and by that time Tuchel was no longer the manager, so Tuchel has not worked with Madueke.
Oh right. Oh, I see. Oh, so it's no favouritism.
Yeah, Madueke, of course, is born in Barnet, of course, where the legendary Jimmy Greaves had a wonderful sojourn near the end of his career. And his career was spent at Crystal Palace, Tottenham Hotspur, and in Holland with PSV Eindhoven. And for 4 seasons, he was in the first team with the Dutch Giants before coming back home to Chelsea. So, yeah, he's got some pedigree, Madueke, and he definitely has the talent, and he should provide Saka a great deal of competition. And if Saka isn't quite able to shake off the injury blues, and Madueke is a perfect replacement. But then you also can bring someone like a Cole Palmer off the bench to score you a goal. There's so many options against Steve.
Exactly. Yeah, and obviously we know Kane's going to be there a while longer. Can you see him going past that World Cup? Carrying on after that?
No, I think especially if we don't get it over the line, or even if we possibly do, he'll probably feel as though it's it's been completely draining, and maybe he'd just like to end his career playing club football, be it with Bayern Munich, or maybe come back to England and play for another club. I think when Gary Lineker left Spurs for Japan, he didn't enjoy himself in Japan, and there was talk about him possibly coming back to play in England for Southampton, but that fell through. I don't think Kane will go on beyond the World Cup. I don't think Pickford will go on beyond the World Cup. I think several of our players who are in their 30s, mid to late 30s, will be looking at the World Cup as their final major tournament for England.
Yeah. Yeah, but for now, obviously, Kane is still there and will be pretty much mainly a starter, although I think sometimes he has been a sub, and I think it's worked out with Watkins, of course, scoring. So we know we don't exactly need him there.
Yeah.
But
this just in, Wales have equalised.
Oh, nice. Brilliant. Who's got that? Is that
we'll find out.
Harry Wilson.
Good work down the right.
Brennan Johnson.
I don't know if it's Johnson. We'll see. Whipped into the penalty area and sort of guided past Valdemarson. We'll find out who had the final touch. I think the number 15 is cleaning it, but I think it might have eluded him. Beautifully whipped ball in there. It was number 15, Cullen, who I think got the final touch and guided it past the goalkeeper. So Wales are now level with Iceland, but it's still not quite good enough. They need to win. And Danny Ward now needs to get his act together.
Looks like they get another one, Wales, then. I hope so. Yep. Like to see him get through. Yeah, but anyway, Kane's definitely one for now, and Gordon, I think, will definitely be one. I think will be still stay there. On his performances, I guess he's done enough, I would say. Down the left side, Anthony Gordon. for me, he probably has done enough still to stay there. I think Harvey Barnes will be another one coming up if he stays fit. Another one down there.
Yes.
On the left side.
Yep.
That's if he stays fit, of course, Harvey Barnes, which has been the problem lately.
Yeah. For me, it'll be Christian Gordon to compete for that left wing spot, and Barnes also will definitely be knocking down the door.
Yep. Yeah, and definitely Ollie Watkins, we know about him. We know what he can do. I think he's a definite there still. Behind Kane, I guess, still. Even ahead of him sometimes, I would say. But I'll definitely say he's definitely got to be there, carry on with him. And Morgan Rogers as well. Like what I say about him, I really do. I think he was class. And the sort of one run he done against the Island was brilliant when he went past 2 or 3 of them or something and got in the cross.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, Rogers is an interesting case. And, obviously Emery uses him as someone who plays in the 10, but also can support the striker whenever they try to revert to a 4-4-2. So, so he definitely is definitely one player who could provide options going forward, but it will remain to be uses him a little bit more. And I think there has been talk about Emery not being too happy with Rogers being picked by England. And obviously with Konsa getting injured, the last thing he'd want is to have another Villa player injured on England duty.
Yeah. Well, the only thing is he only really got in because of the other ones pulling out, didn't he? Some of the others pulling out. So, although I would have put him in anyway, I still would have put him in, but I've been banging the drum for him. But, I think him, I still think he's got to play for England, barring as well. He's done just enough, I think, to stake his claim. And scored, of course, against Ireland. I still think Solanke should get a chance. You need another proper goal scorer, and I think he is it. I think he will score goals, and he needs more of a chance. He needs to get games for England. Not getting enough. He came on against Ireland, as we know. Had a good chance, but still not getting enough games, Solanke. So for me, he's definitely one for the future. I would say Solanke, and definitely Bowen. I would keep him there. I still think Eze has got enough about him. Still is good enough. In a struggling Palace side, he still looks one of their best players, Eze. So, for me, I think they've got to stay. There's still talent there, but there's obviously more we can still bring in. But I'm just saying about these here, Manny, that I'll keep these. I'll keep Rogers, I'll keep Bowen, I'll keep all them Solanke as well, Eze. I think they're all good enough still to be in it.
Yeah, I like Eze, definitely.
And I think Bowen's done enough. He scored a goal when he came on the other day, so I think he's good enough still. There's a lot of competition for that right hand side, though. Unfortunately, just don't know. I think do you think Solanke would come in as maybe behind Watkins, the third choice striker? Or do you think he's good enough to maybe get a few starts, maybe in the friendlies or qualifiers or anything?
The thing about Solanke is that he's a lot like Kane in terms of his build and what he lends to the team. Watkins obviously is a little bit shorter, a little bit more of a number 10 striker as opposed to being a number 9. And Solanke probably would be the person you think would be a like-for-like substitution for Harry Kane, but it just doesn't seem to work that way. I'd like to see Solanke get some more chances. We know he can score, and he has been scoring for Spurs. And this now, after he was probably given his England debut maybe a little bit too young and didn't really find himself. Bournemouth really, helped him sharpen his skills, and now he's at Spurs scoring. So you think Solanke will definitely get some more chances, but
Mm.
it's going to be up to Tuchel how he uses him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but it's a bit of a conundrum there. He's got a lot of talent to pick from, Tuchel, but I'm sure a great manager as he is, I'm sure he'll work it out. But it's good to have all this talent rather than none at all, I suppose, is the thing. But you'd think with all that, why haven't we won a World Cup since 1966? It's still hard to believe, isn't it? Or any trophy, for that matter.
Yeah, but the thing about these knockout tournaments, Steve, at the best of times, they're crapshoots. You sometimes need to have luck on your side,
Mm. But how come the women can do it and the under-21s can do it and the senior men can't? It just doesn't seem right. Yeah, anyway, well, when he comes back, we're getting to shout out his socials and then we're going to bounce people. Gone over 2 hours here, 2 hours 12 I'm doing now. I wasn't going to go this long and obviously want to get something to eat. I'm a bit Hank Marvin at the moment, so go and get something and watch the Wales game. If it's still on, it sounds good. No matter what Manny's saying, it's 1-1. So go and try and watch the rest of that. Hopefully not in Welsh, I hope. I hope it's not in Welsh so I can watch it. I think they might have it on Eurosport, so I might have a look at it on there. Definitely see if it's on Eurosport. But he's back now, and we're just getting to share out his socials, and then we're going to bounce people. Also, follow me on Instagram at Mr. B for Life 182, and subscribe to Mr. B Hive Football Chat. Mr. B Chats England Cricket. There's no cricket stream until next week. Well, obviously, I'm doing Off to the Boundary tomorrow night for Hanno. Going to host that. He may be on, I'm not sure, Hanno, if he's going to be part of it or not, but I'm doing that Off to the Boundary and possibly, obviously, Manny will possibly join me for that as well. But I'll bring him on and we'll talk about that and obviously find out his socials, where he can find him. And so that's what we're just going to bounce now, Manny. We've got well over 2 hours here, fella, and I wasn't going to go on this long. Nowhere near. But I have. But it's been good. So, anyway, do you want to shout your socials out, mate?
I will. And first of all, big up to you, Steve, for hosting this stream and making it happen. And you can find me here on the Hive of Football channel, The Buzz, as is now, more fashionably called, I would say. And you can also catch me on the channel where Mr. B chats England cricket. And obviously, I was hoping to join him for the review of the T20 series, which England won, despite the fourth one being lost heavily and the fifth match being rained out. But we won a series, and I'm not complaining. Never look a gift horse in its mouth. Do catch me on some other channels as well. Del Boy Gunner TV, obviously Coach's Corner with the Off to the Boundaries show. Hopefully I should be able to join if the timing works out well for me, and you will see me there. And of course, Oris Talks Football, Up the Cherries in all departments. Tony Claw Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, Rich Sports, who was in the chat earlier today. And I think he wanted me to join a stream, but I couldn't. I was completely tired, drained, and I had to sleep. Hopefully next time I'll join him. And also Football United with Anthony Herbert, as I mentioned. Gundown UK, Southern Gooner, Spurs U Asia TV, and several other channels. Big up to Warren as well. And also I would encourage all of you in the chat to watch that amazing interview that Mr. B did with Warren for the Memories of the Football Terrace podcast as a Brentford fan. That certainly would have been a wonderful little chin wag between the two of you, and I will check out very, very
Yeah.
soon. I did a similar interview with him, and I really enjoyed it immensely, I must say. And yeah, nothing much else to say. And there are, of course, several other channels that I've been a part of, and I've enjoyed being a part of those channels on rare occasions. All important to me. Just because I haven't named them, they're no less important. But again, if they don't believe me when I tell them that they're important to me, there will be a check in the post. As Steve will tell you, I've got to start taking some of these checks. And nothing much else to say, except, of course, we just started, of course, a new week, and we're ending, obviously, the international period, but very soon it'll be time to go back to club football. And, of course, that's something that everyone will be looking forward to. Me, I go back and forth. And nothing much to say, except I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy any sports action that's upcoming. Do please enjoy that. And apart from that, do take care of yourselves, be safe, and be happy. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, and don't do anything that Mr. B or I do. Until then, as always, farewell to thee. Goodbye and God bless to all of you. And it's time for me to get back to seeing if Wales can finally get it over the line. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, Manny. I hope you enjoy the rest of the game. I'll be going to watch it myself in a little while. I'll get something to eat, and obviously a lot of those people you mentioned I follow as well. So big up to all of them, Warren and everyone. A lot of those up cherries in all departments, and you know, many of the others as well. Rich as well, of course, Red Devils TV. So yeah, so thanks to everyone, and thanks to Manny once again, and people in the live chat. As I say, I'll be on the cricket stream tomorrow night for Hanno's, and obviously Manny will be there too, I would think. So you can join us for that. We'll talk about England on that T20. So bit of a washout at the end of it, unfortunately again, but we'll chat about that, and obviously about England next week. Going to New Zealand. That should be interesting in those test matches and everything. So we may chat about that as well, another thing. So anyway, guys, hope you can join us for that. I'll be also doing a preview for the Everton game, because we are going back to that, as Manny's mentioned. The Premier is coming back, thank God, this weekend.
And it's just in, Liam Cullen has actually scored his second goal, and Wales are now 2-1 up as we head into injury time at the end.
Come on, the Welsh. Come on, the Welsh. Yeah, brilliant. That's what I like to hear. Come on. They can do it. Come on, win it. I'm sure they will. And I'll be going to find out in a little while to see what happens.
If they win and 30 lose, they get... Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go, mate, as well, because I'm Hank Marvin, so I've got to go. And thanks to everyone, as I say once again. And till the next time, we're out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.